Picture this. What happens when a routine traffic stop escalates completely out of control? Look, for your fleet drivers, a lack of clear training on citizen police interactions isn't just a safety hazard, it is a massive organizational risk. I'm a senior EHS manager, and today we're walking through Texas Senate Bill 30, also known as the Community Safety Education Act. We're going to dive into the tragic catalyst that actually sparked this safety education law, what it legally mandates for both civilians and officers, and exactly why de-escalation training is now a non-negotiable component of your fleet safety program. Let's dive in.
You know, when we talk about fleet management, we're usually hyper-focused on things like vehicle maintenance, defensive driving, and DOT compliance, right? But there is a huge blind spot in most corporate safety programs today, the roadside police encounter. If your traveling employees aren't given a structured, crystal-clear protocol for how to interact with law enforcement, they're basically just relying on instinct, and sometimes, honestly, bad information during a highly stressful event. And that ambiguity? It leads to unnecessary tension, which translates directly into serious safety risks for your team and massive liability for your organization.
All right, let's get into Section 1, the catalyst. 2015, Waller County.
To really understand this, we have to look back at the 2015 Sandra Bland incident in Waller County. It was a routine traffic stop for failing to signal a lane change that tragically escalated, ultimately resulting in her death in a county jail cell. The incident became a national symbol of how quickly minor contacts can spiral. So lawmakers responded in 2017 with two major pieces of legislation. First, Senate Bill 1849, which focused on post-arrest reforms. But simultaneously, they realized they needed to fix the actual point of contact on the road before an arrest ever even happens, and that's exactly why they passed Texas Senate Bill 30.
Which brings us to Section 2, the Community Safety Education Act.
This safety education law is all about prevention. Lawmakers wanted to take the sheer uncertainty out of a traffic stop and replace it with a predictable script. They wanted to create a shared reality. So this mandate requires synchronized instruction for three distinct groups: public high school students, new driver education applicants, and all licensed peace officers in the state of Texas. By mandating that the exact same information is taught to everyone, the state is making sure that when a driver and an officer meet at a car window, both sides know exactly what the other is supposed to do. It just drastically lowers the temperature of the whole interaction.
So what are they actually teaching? Across the board, everyone gets trained on these 6 core pillars. We're talking the exact duties of law enforcement, the constitutional rights of the civilian, proper behavior for both parties during the stop, the specific laws around questioning and detention, including exactly when you're legally required to provide ID, the strict consequences if you fail to comply, and finally, how and where to properly file a complaint or even a compliment about an officer's conduct.
Okay, moving on to Section 3, the Civilian Training Mandate.
Now, to understand your own corporate risk, you have to know what your drivers are actually mandated to learn. Since the 2018-2019 school year, Texas has required a standardized curriculum, anchored by a 16-minute instructional video called Flashing Lights. And this video outlines precise behavioral expectations. It teaches drivers to pull over safely, roll down their windows, and, this is huge, keep both hands on the steering wheel. It explicitly tells them do not reach for your license or insurance in the glove box or under the seat until you verbally inform the officer of what you're doing. As a fleet manager, standardizing this physical protocol across your workforce, that is a massive risk mitigation strategy.
Check out what this actually looks like on the ground. The civilian training really hammers home that you shouldn't argue the validity of a charge right there on the side of the road. You handle complaints through the proper administrative channels later. Look at this real-world citation from the Lufkin Police Department. Right there at the bottom, there's a section specifically mandated by the Sandra Bland Act, clearly providing the email and phone number for the agency's Professional Standards Division. It's a stark reminder for your drivers. The side of the highway is absolutely not the courtroom.
But hey, it's a two-way street. Let's look at Section 4, Law Enforcement Retraining.
The Community Safety Education Act wasn't just a manual for civilians. It actually required the retraining of nearly 80,000 Texas peace officers. So while your fleet drivers are learning how to provide ID safely, peace officers are completing a mandatory civilian interaction training program. And this leans heavily on what's called the 7-step violator contact method. It's a tactical, communicative protocol meant to turn a stressful traffic stop into a highly predictable professional business transaction. Officers are literally trained to expect civilian anxiety and are equipped with strict de-escalation tools to manage it safely.
And this quote from the Senate Research Center really hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? The ultimate goal of mandatory de-escalation training is simply keeping people alive. By giving all 2,700 law enforcement agencies in Texas a standardized script, the state is stripping away the unpredictable variables that lead to escalation. It creates an environment where the officer can do their job safely and the civilian can exercise their rights safely. Win-win.
So, what does this all mean for your business? Section 5, Fleet Safety and Corporate Compliance.
How do you take a state education law and bake it into an actionable corporate safety standard? Well, if your drivers operate in Texas, or frankly anywhere in the country, the principles of SB30 are an absolute gold standard for corporate risk management. As EHS managers, we have to actively integrate these exact traffic stop safety principles right into our fleet onboarding and recurrent training. We have to eliminate driver ambiguity entirely. Do not just assume your employees know how to handle a traffic stop safely. Give them the playbook, hands on the wheel. Over-communicate your movements, comply with ID laws, and save the disputes for the complaint process later. Doing this literally protects your most valuable assets, your people, while seriously reducing your organizational liability.
I want you to ask yourself right now, is your corporate fleet fully prepared for its next roadside encounter? Or are you just kind of leaving their safety up to chance, crossing your fingers that they know the unwritten rules of traffic stop safety? The Community Safety Education Act proves we can't rely on guesswork anymore. Education is the absolute best de-escalation tool we have in our arsenal.
Take these legislative insights and build them into your safety culture starting today. Make absolutely sure your team knows the script, understands their rights, and knows exactly how to get home safe. Ultimately, are you leaving your fleet's survival up to instinct, or is your training going to be their best line of defense? Think about it. Like, share, and subscribe to HSE Study for more high-impact safety insights.